All right, I see some of you guys are tuning in. We're going to give it a few minutes after 3. I know we had a few, or after 4, had a few people finishing things up, so they should be getting on the call here shortly. But just give me a few more minutes, and we'll go ahead and get started. We should finish up about 4:45. We finished up a little early last time. Just depends on what questions you all have. Unfortunately, based on our group size, we're not able to do interactive Google Hangouts. Those are limited to 10 people or less. So if you have questions, you'll just have to text them in to me, or you can always give me a call or shoot me an email tomorrow. That's fine as well. You can text me at my cell phone. You should all have it, but if you don't, the number is 573-220-9801. Again, we'll give it a few more minutes and then we will get started from there. Looks like we've got 4 people on right now. If somebody would be so kind as to text me that they can hear me, I greatly appreciate it, just to make sure my microphone is working and that the audio is going through. So if somebody could just text me at my cell phone and let me know they can hear me, that would be fantastic, and we'll get started here in just a minute. All right, thank you, Irene, for letting me know I can be heard. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started because I know some of you are probably still at school and you probably want to go home. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions, you can just text them to me, or you can always shoot me an email or give me a call tomorrow. That's perfectly fine as well. So thank you for joining us for our winter LCA training. We are going to be reviewing the registration system, a few updates for the year as well. And we're going to talk about some assistance in scoring your events at your DLC as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our PowerPoint and walk you all through a few things. And then you can shoot me a text if you got any questions as we go through. I'll kind of just be jumping back and forth between my cell phone. So first things first is where membership stands, and I pulled this right before I left work today. FBLA membership stands at 11,979, which is fantastic. We had a lot of people reporting over the last few days. We sent out that email reminding everybody that their district registration will be far less stressful if they go ahead and put their registration in for the conference, and I think that helped a little bit. PBL is currently sitting at 224. Middle level is at 414, and they've by far seen the most growth. And PD is sitting at 60 members. So as an organization, we're at 12,678. We do need to hit that 16,000 in order for our advisors whose chapters grew to get their duffel bag and money bag. So make sure to encourage your chapters to get their membership in. Right now, if everybody who has not reported reports what they reported last year, our membership will be just shy of 100 away from hitting 15,000. And 15,008 is our highest membership ever. So we're really, really pushing that. We really want to be able to hit that highest membership, and that'll be a really, really big deal for our organization. FBLA is up 2 chapters. We got 3 more in the works right now. Those are primarily in the St. Louis area, with the Rockwood School District that we brought back on board this year, and Teresa Meyer has been working with them throughout the year. PBL, we're up 3 chapters, and middle level, we are up 12, and I anticipate way more middle level chapters still to come. So that's probably the area we're going to see the biggest growth in this year, is within middle level. All in all, we've generated about 1,700 new members, which is really, really great, and that's coming from those chapters who have grown their 1,700 new members. So membership is going very, 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 very well, and we're really, really pushing to get that 15,008. This is your district membership that I pulled as of Monday evening. So it's a little bit outdated. Some of you have gone down a little bit more. I know District 18 has gone down a bit, so your loss isn't as bad. District 1, I know, is the same way. But some of you are nearing the point where your membership is where it was last year. Of our districts that are in the double digits, for the most part, you still have several chapters to report. So I anticipate you will see some growth within your chapters, which is very, very exciting. We're happy to see that growth, especially District 14 will probably be up about 70 members this year, which is really, really great. All that district growth obviously helps your district out in terms of funds, if you can get those students to compete. So continue pushing your chapters to get involved and to add members. But I think this year will be our record year. A couple of conference updates for you, just so you all are aware. We do have contracts in place for SMLCs for next year. October 1st being Worlds of Fun. And what's really great about Worlds of Fun this upcoming year is they've actually blocked out the park for the entire day for us. It'll still be open to the public, but there won't be any other events going on. So we'll get the full attention of staff, and they're going to try to expand our tours even more than they did last year. I know we were able to accommodate well over 300 last year who requested tours. We're hoping to get it where pretty much everybody can go. The 8th will be Six Flags, and we're working to get early access to the park. And with that, we'll be able to have our chapters actually tour rides there, which we weren't able to do last year. So that's already in the works with them. And then the 15th is Silver Dollar City, and we're working to kind of transform those special talks that they did for us in order to accommodate as many people as possible into some expanded tours that are available throughout the entire day, so that they don't have as many people rushing. We did not budget anywhere near what we actually got in terms of attendance for SMLC, so thank you all for bearing with us as we kind of readjusted the schedules. But now that we have those baseline numbers, we're able to plan for next year to make them even bigger and better. ELC, we're currently working with Mizzou, but of course their schedule and summer school and everything comes first. So we probably won't be able to actually nail something down until the beginning of the year. So kind of look for an official date come January, once they've set their academic schedule for the summer. But we are looking at going back to Mizzou and actually expanding what we do at Mizzou to include a little bit more career development tied in with that leadership and chapter planning. So I will get that information out to you hopefully within the next 2 months. And I will get all that information out before SLC this upcoming year. We're going to try to get something in the packets for chapters at SLC promoting the Executive Leadership Conference, and we're working with Mizzou on all those materials. Couple state leadership conference updates. I know I've told you all about the senior banquet already. We are adding a junior breakfast as well. That junior breakfast will be held in the morning on Monday. It is a pretty big block of time, so even if a student is competing first thing in the morning, they're able to go afterwards, or vice versa. And we're going to have all of our colleges and sponsors. They're more than welcome to attend that. Actually, when they register for the college and career fair, they'll let us know so that students can actually interact with those individuals at the junior breakfast and maybe ask some questions about college or scholarships or things from the schools that they might be interested in attending. And then our senior bank will be held immediately following the second general session. And that will be a nice full meal, formal presentations. It's sponsored by PBL, so they'll be interacting with the students there, but it's rewarding those students who have worked hard for 4 years in the organization and giving them an opportunity to kind of all gather and reflect on the year. We have been collecting the pictures that have been coming through on our News at Missouri FBLA email. So we're compiling all those pictures, and come spring, we're going to ask our seniors to send in pictures as well, so we can make really nice slideshows kind of the year going through. So that'll be really, really nice. We will not offer any shuttles to and from hotels. Those were minimally used and cost well over $3,000. So we will not be using those. In fact, on day one, nobody even used them. And yeah. So we won't be doing those anymore. We've also cut out the mall shuttle. Instead, we're going to kind of be promoting our local businesses and trying to convince students to stay at the conference and enjoy the different activities that we've made available to them, like the college and career fair. And we've expanded workshops and everything as well, trying to convince students to stay at the conference location. However, we do want to offer them some opportunities. So we're partnering with some businesses right around the hotel in the immediate downtown area, where students will be able to maybe receive a discount of some sort, or there might be some sort of a special activity or perk for going to a couple different venues. So more information on that to come. The CVB is reaching out to businesses for us as we speak. We will be staying in Springfield for 2017 through 19 at the very least. We are one contractor away from having everything in hand and nailed down, at which point I will release the dates for you all. They don't conflict with collegiate, or they don't conflict with DECA, they don't conflict with FFA or any other CTSO that would cause any sort of an issue, which is really, really nice. We don't have to worry about what we've run into this year with kind of the DECA overlap. But we are happy to be staying in Springfield. We are changing our competitive event schedule a bit. We will be starting slightly earlier on Sunday, not dramatically earlier. No one's going to have to leave at 2 a.m. to get to Springfield. But we will be starting just a bit earlier, and we're spacing out our events as well. So not every single event will be starting first thing on Sunday. We've typically always started at max capacity. But if we start a little bit staggered, it's going to make our morning a lot easier. The judges will be able to ask questions, and we'll be able to make sure our events have all started correctly and they're running smoothly before we start the next round. We've also created some new, more permanent folders, and Taylor Liebert from Truman PBL actually came down and made all those folders for us. So they have plastic sleeves. They're very, very nice, kind of classed up. How we'll be distributing that stuff to the judges. So we're excited about those new folders as well. We've also expanded the college and career fair. Those invitations officially went out today to our 40 schools from last year. And we are inviting even more than attended last year. So that's going to grow tremendously and allow, especially our junior students who are kind of starting to make their college decisions, to actually interact with admissions people in a smaller setting where they're able to ask those important questions to be prepared for their college careers. On now to the registration process for districts and state. We will be using MPAC again, so this is the same system that we started using last year for registration that pulls a lot of stuff for our advisors. It's pretty much all done via drop-down menus and hyperlinks, so it's very, very easy. It still locks people from signing up too many teams or too many students for events, as well as stopping 9-10, our juniors or seniors from signing up for 9-10 only events. So for those of you who are new, I am going to give you a complete walkthrough of how the registration system works. For those of you who are returning, it is primarily the exact same system we used last year, but always good to have a refresher so that you're able to help advisors. So there is a step-by-step guide available for our advisors on our website. We did make that public, and we sent that out in an email on Tuesday morning about district registration. We sent it out through the listservs as well. So they're able to download this guide that walks them through district registration. At the beginning, there are all different kinds of documents they're able to download. These are all available on our website, so they're more than welcome to download those in advance. Most of them have probably already looked at this information, but we did want to put the links in there to make it easier for them to grab that information. District registration opens first thing on December 1st, and it will close on December 11th at 5 p.m. Unlike last year, you do not have to be a paid member to register. You just have to be a member. So their names just need to be in the national database, and the advisor needs to have basically gotten to the last point where they downloaded an invoice of some sort. So they do not have to be paid this year. They do need to be still paid by that dues eligibility deadline, and we will run a check on that, and that's on January 13th. So do make sure advisors know that when they register for DLC, once they've got everything confirmed, they need to turn that information in so that their board can cut a check or they can get the school credit card to pay. That January 13th deadline is very, very important to be paid by, to ensure our students competing are covered by all of our insurance policies and that they're truly members of this organization to win their awards. Advisors need to make sure that they're listed in the national database as well. They can just log back into membership registration, and it's actually, I believe, either step 1 or 2, where they're able to ensure that they're listed as an advisor and their contact information is up to date. They are able to change their status to primary advisor if they'd like to. That's completely up to them if there are multiple advisors in a chapter, but we do highly encourage somebody to be listed as the primary advisor for communication purposes. So for advisors to register students for DLC, they first need to go to the conference registration link. This link is available on our website. We'll put it up on December 1st, so we've got it hidden right now. And they log in with their chapter number and the password service. They cannot go to their normal login, like how they register members for membership in the association. They need to use our dedicated link. It's specifically set up for Missouri. So it is important that they use that link to register. Once again, it still glitches, mainly due to if you had been logged into the membership database and you click back over to log your registration for DLC, it will likely glitch and make you log back in. So basically that first login was just logging you out of the other system to log you into this one. So advisors can close out of their browser completely and open it back up. That usually fixes the problem, or they can just log back in again. It's not a big deal. If they're still having issues, make sure that they give me a call and we can figure out what's going on. As of right now, it's tested. It does work in the main 3 browsers, so Firefox, Chrome, and Internet Explorer. When they log in, they're only going to see one option at the moment, which is FBLA DLC. They click register for this meeting. And their first option is to fill out contact information for whoever's going to be receiving all the materials for DLC. It's very, very important that whoever wants all the information is the advisor that is on this contact form, because that's the email addresses and all the contact information that we get when we do our download. And that's how we do the mail merges for testing and all of our passwords for ESES. So it's important that our advisors select whoever wants to receive that information. It does pre-populate basically everything for them as long as that information is correct in the national database. They're able to change anything that they want to, so they can actually just go in and edit these boxes even after they've clicked on the hyperlink. The most important thing is that the email address is correct. And I'll say it a million times in this presentation, the email address must be correct in order for them to receive all of their information. When they go on to step 2, they're able to register themselves for DLC. As we discussed at training back in 2014, we did make the decision for advisors to register in order to bring in those additional funds to prevent us from having to raise district registration. That did work really, really well last year, and almost all of our districts came out with a balance that allowed them to operate through the fall before district money started coming through. So they will have to pay the $10 or the $10.60, and that is any advisor who will be attending the conference. So if you have multiple advisors at a school, they will all show up in this list. Whoever's marked as prime, you'll see already on this one. And thanks, Ann, you're on this call. Fort Zoom South is always my account that I use to test all this stuff. You'll see a marker for prime contact. They do need to select the number of years, and if it's their first time attending the conference, we collect that for statistical purposes, and it is required for them to fill in. So they do have to select that information in order to proceed to the next step. Step 3 is the most important, and it's where you register students for competitive events. And this is much, much easier than the days that we used to use WooFoo to collect this information. WooFoo forced you to type in your name and email address for every single student. So if you were a chapter like, you know, Carthage or somebody enormous and you were registering tons of students, it was not fun to have to do that. So it does make it a lot easier. To register a student, all the names are in alphabetical order. You click the checkbox marked register. You will have to use the drop-down menu to select registration type. You can either select check or credit card payment, and it does bill you differently depending on your registration type. However you select this, come December 11th, that's how you're going to get billed. It's really, really hard to go back through and fix all of these because we have to do them one by one, and there were 10,400 last year. So the advisors need to make sure that they select their correct form of payment. This will be the rate that they get invoiced at, and we'll talk about that towards the end of this section. There are then 2 more fields. They don't have to worry about the who's who question that actually doesn't populate until state, but there is a question about grade. That is auto-populated based on membership registration. However, if it was entered incorrect, it will show up incorrect. So they will need to adjust that if they entered it incorrectly, especially when it comes to our 9-10 events. So if they accidentally selected a freshman student as a senior, they will need to fix that in order for that student to be eligible to compete in those 9-10 events. The system will block them without that. And then they select their competitive events using the drop-down menus. You'll have 3 options at DLC, 2 at SLC. So they simply need to select the competitive events the students are competing in. If they're not competing in one of the open slots, one of their 3, they do need to be marked non-competitor. That is important that they're marked non-competitor. It makes it easier for us to sort information, and it does not collect data on those blocks. It would be a lot more information if they weren't marked non-competitor. It only shows 10 at a time, so you do have to scroll through all of your chapters or all of your students before you're able to submit everything at the end. So for our larger chapters, it is a lot to go through. We do recommend that they maybe go through 2 or 3 pages and then go ahead and submit registration and then go back in and add more. That way it saves what they've done. The system does not remember what you do if you do not finalize your registration. And we'll remind everybody of that when registration opens on the 1st. So keep going through all the pages until you're done with registration. And then you're able to build teams. This is very, very important, especially with how we are doing online testing this year, where everybody is testing separately. That these teams are built correctly. You simply just have to select students to be on the team. You can't leave these fields blank, or else when we upload it into ESES, it won't show up as those students being on a team. And if those students aren't on a team, their scores won't average, and that can ultimately harm the students at district contests. So it's important that they enter everybody in as a team and make sure that they meet the minimum requirements for teams. And those are basically our events that have a test component all have a minimum of 2. And the system will not let you submit if you don't have at least 2 students registered for those events. Parley does have a minimum of 4. Guests and chaperones, they are free registration. Additional advisors, again, have to register on step 1. They have to be listed as an advisor and register and pay. We do go through all of the guests and we make sure that they are not advisors. So there's no sneaking around on that one. But guests are completely free. So if the school has a certain ratio that they require, they are able to attend the conference free if it's like a principal or a career center director who's serving as an additional chaperone. All they have to do is type the names in, click register. It doesn't even offer you a registration type because it's free. Step 5 is reviewing registration. At this point, the best thing that anybody can do on this screen is make sure that their email address is correct, because it is, again, where the confirmations and everything go. There are hyperlinks on this page, the things that say like edit contact, edit advisor. Those take you right back to those specific screens. So if you've made a mistake and you notice it, you can go directly back to that section. So you'll see the contact information at the top, any registered advisors, as well as their fees, so you can tell the way that they're paying. And then all of the students, and it does list their competitive events and their method of payment as well. It's important for advisors to quadruple check this, make sure that everything is right on this page, because messing it up means going back through everything again. It does not let you submit if you have made a mistake. So if you registered a junior for a 910 only event, your entire registration will not go through if it's incorrect. It will send you an error message. It does not necessarily tell you what you've done wrong. So you actually have to go back and figure it out. So that's why we have that district worksheet that we encourage our advisors to fill in, because it has the correct number of blanks on it for students to sign up. We're happy to help if anybody calls. Myself, Lori, and Julie can all walk everybody through it. So if an advisor calls and has issues, if they can just send us that worksheet, we can kind of go through and figure out where their mistakes might be. But this is all the more reason we encourage our advisors to submit in small chunks, so that if they do make a mistake, they're not losing as much data. Because if you register 150 kids and you made a mistake and you can't find it, if you've got to close out of this thing or it times out, you're going to lose everything that you just did. So chunks is very, 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 very important. And we did include that in that district email as a helpful hint so that you don't lose information. At the bottom is where they're able to finalize registration. At the moment, we don't have any documents to download. We've just got all that information posted to the website. But should we ever decide to do that, we're able to actually put hyperlinks to documents on here. So our advisors can finalize their registration, at which point they do get a confirmation email. If there's a tech support problem, their tech support number is at the bottom for Impact, and then there is the registration email address, and that goes directly to me. So I can help walk anybody through anything. Just remind your advisors not to close out if they need help until we're able to actually walk them through what the issue might be. Once you have submitted registration, you no longer see register for this meeting. You see view registrations or add additional registrants. Advisors can now change their registration through December 11th at 5 p.m. on their own, and that's the last change deadline. So they don't have to submit a WUFU or anything. They can actually go in and make these changes on their own. If you know your advisors' chapter numbers, which you all do, you can go in and fix something for them, especially if they're having issues. So if it's just a quick fix, you're able to do that. They just log back in under the same link, click view, add, and then it takes them back through the exact same steps they've already seen in order to make changes to their registration. This will close at 5 p.m. At that point, there is no possible way to make any changes except through me. But of course, our change deadline is at 5 p.m. anyway, so there won't be any changes happening. Advisors get a confirmation email. Through this confirmation email, they're able to see every single advisor and student they have registered for the conference, including what events they're signed up for, and the total amount that they're going to be billed. Guests do not show up on the confirmation emails. Those are only viewable on my side. I have no idea why, but it's $175 an hour to fix it, and I don't know how many hours it would take to fix it. So I will send you the guest registration so that you know how many additional people will be at your conference. Those are included in the totals that I send you, though. So you'll actually have those numbers the second registration's done. Any misspellings of names need to be fixed before that 5 o'clock on December 11th. At that point, at 5 p.m., when I turn it off, it disconnects from Impact. So even if you make a change, it won't matter because everything's already kind of frozen on the district registration. So if advisors know that there's a name misspelled, they need to go ahead and have it fixed now. Nationals is not typically super quick at getting to those. They receive a lot of requests, obviously, and poor Ashley has to handle most of them. So get that in early. If you give it to them at 3 o'clock on the 11th, they're not going to get it done in time. And that name's going to be inverted or all caps or however it was entered in the registration. The most important thing on the confirmation to note is that it does tell you specific information about your events. We did update these for this year to include a little bit more, but it tells advisors when objective tests are, when pre-judge components are due, if they need to contact a lead chapter advisor for events like business ethics. All that information is on there. And then all of our event uploads are going back through WooFoo again. That page is currently marked private on our website, but on December 1st, I will open it up so people can start turning in things, especially if they've already finished reports for the year. They can go ahead and start uploading. And we did have quite a few people who actually uploaded their stuff before they left for Christmas break. There's also a link to the payment form, which I will talk about, I believe, on the next slide. Yes, the payment form. So last year, we considered the confirmation emails to be invoices, and that worked for the most part fine. We did have the blank invoices that chapters could download if they needed them. But this year, now that we have switched to FreshBooks for all of our invoicing and for all of our check collection and credit card payments and everything, they do have to submit an additional payment form. Again, the link is in the confirmation email. It's already on our website as well. And it's in their step-by-step instructions on registering for DLC. All they have to do is enter their name, chapter number, select their method of payment, put in the advisor name, a bookkeeper phone number, and that's for Julie to be able to reach out if there are any issues, and then their email address, and it will automatically create an invoice for them. You have to accept the invoice to get the invoice. So far, that's been our biggest problem with this system is people selecting no when it asks if they want an invoice. They do need to select that in order for the invoice to come to their email. And they need to keep that email in order to log back into their invoices. They can pay with a credit card on their invoice, or if they're going to send in a check, when we receive the check and enter it into FreshBooks, it does send them an email to let them know payment has been received. And that has prevented those questions. In fact, we have not even been asked once if payment has been received this year since we started using this system before nationals. So it will let them know in any way, shape, or form when their money's been received. And they can actually email these invoices direct to their bookkeeper if they'd like to process payments. If there is an issue on an invoice, it must be disputed in FreshBooks. So if you make a typo, you cannot submit a WooFoo again because you can only enter one chapter number one time. So all you have to do is dispute, and I can go in and edit those, and Julie can as well, really, really quickly. If you just typed 1 instead of 10 credit card payments, it's so easy for us to fix. And we're happy to do that. So make sure your advisors know that they can just dispute their invoices in order to make corrections. That is it for the district registration. We will send out an email first thing on December 1st. It'll actually be automated to go out at 7 a.m. So all of our advisors have another reminder and the guide and everything included in terms of registering for DLC. But I am going to go on to a few more things so that I can let you all go a little bit early. Grading day. Once again, we won't be doing statewide district grading day. As I brought up last year in 2014, that cost over $20,000, which is way too expensive for us to handle. So we will be using the help of PBL once again, and we have readjusted the way that we're working with our PBL chapters and providing some more detail on exactly how they should be grading and some training on exactly what they should be looking for in the materials. The 4 schools that have confirmed with us so far are Southeast Missouri State in Cape Girardeau, MU in Columbia, MSU West Plains, which is a brand new, well, kind of brand new PBL chapter. We lost them last year and brought them back this year, but they've been really, really involved so far. And then Truman as well. We have not heard word from MSSU or St. Charles on if they were interested in grading day. The second I find out, I'll let you know. As of right now, MSU West Plains wants January 22nd and MU wants January 23rd. And I'll let you know when I hear from SEMO and Truman when they submit their formal request for district grading day. We do hope you as LCAs are able to attend at one of these locations and help us out by grading as well as supervising the students in grading their events and answering any questions. We'll be doing 1 to 2 events at each location. Some events we were able to get 3 done, or some locations we were able to get 3 done. Just kind of depends on what events and how many people submit for them. So be on the lookout for some more information. I really hope to have that before Thanksgiving, but it's kind of up to the schools and when they're able to get labs. So I have heard from 2 of the 4, and I'll try to reach out and get the other 2 before Thanksgiving for you. PBL will continue to get their stipend. Again, it saved more than $15,000 last year, and we're able to reinvest that money back in to SLC, as well as moving it to the foundation where it's invested for our future as an organization. The dates will be between January 14th and 23rd. Like I said, right now we know the 22nd and 23rd. The other ones will probably be earlier in January so that we can try to knock out some of those prejudged events to get your district schedules ready and out early. We'll get you your tubs and your medals at that point. We do have brand new tubs for you. They are deeper so they don't crush the top of all of your files, which is nice. They're about halfway stuffed as of right now. Emma Downing has been coming over once a week and stuffing our folders for us. We really appreciate that. And you'll get your medals. I did order 20,000 medals, so there will be plenty of them. And we'll get those to you at that point as well. Competitive events, just a couple updates, reminders, common questions. Graphic design and publication design are both prejudged, so the top 5 or 8 perform at your districts. And social media campaign is now a performance at your DLC. So we took away network design and management information systems, and now you have publication design as a performance, which used to be desktop publishing, and social media at districts. So you have no additional performances, we just replaced 2. And then my common questions, which some of them are repeats. There is still no topic for public speaking. It's a business nature relating to an FBLA PBL goal. So they can write it however they want to, as long as it's clear which FBLA PBL goal that they're focusing on. Job interview, once again, should be prepared for a job the student can do now or at the end of the school year. So no, they can't be the CEO of Boeing the end of their junior year of high school. But students just need to make sure that they're not putting any false information to try to make ends meet like that. So they should be applying for internships and entry-level jobs or a summer job of some sort. Merit Corporation is fictitious. So any information you can find on anything called Merit Corporation doesn't do you any good. It is a fake company. And they did drop the application requirement for job interview. So it's just the resume and cover letter now that get prejudged and factored into the overall score. Straight to state events. If a student wins 2 to 3 events at DLC and they were working on a straight to state event with their friends, they're going to have to decide what to drop. So do remind advisors to plan for things like that to possibly happen. It, I'm sure, happened many times last year, and schools were able to adjust that, but it doesn't give you an extra event. You just have to decide what you're going to drop in order to only have 2 events at state. And then publication design, it is 1 to 3 competitors. Originally, we thought it was 1 to 2, and Nationals has said it is 1 to 3. So 1 to 3 competitors, just like graphic design is, can compete in publication design. We have created a scoring sheet for you. At some point, Carla, I believe, made something like this, and I could not find it. So we just made a fancy new one to help you all with your event scoring at districts. It does automatically determine your ranks and who gets medals. And I am going to show you that right now. Give me one moment. Switch over to it. All right, so this is the district scoring sheet. It does have a tab for each of our performance events, so it does not include anything that's objective only or skill events. We'll send all that information to you, and you can compile that all in a master's winner list. But you can actually go through these different tabs, and you can start typing in scores. So when you know who your top 8 are, you can enter your students' information into here, and likely in schedule order for your convenience. And we'll get you all the prejudged scores. So you're actually able to just type in a prejudged score from the judges, and then you can type in your actual performance scores. And based on the weights that were approved by the Executive Council, and we did move to that 50% weight for everything but job interview and future business leader. And you'll actually be able to see who your winners are, and it ranks them, and it lets you know who gets a medal. We will protect these cells so that you don't have any possibility of messing with the formulas, especially if you have other advisors helping you in the grading room. But all you have to do now is simply type in the scores. And if you type in all of your prejudged, or for some events, let me find one here, like entrepreneurship, an objective score, it will automatically rank and tell you who gets a medal. With some crafty sorting and filtering, you can make a winners list very, very quickly. And it's all digitized that way. So you can get it out to your advisors really, really quick, and you can get it to the state office as well, or up on your district website if you'd like to. So hopefully this makes your life a little bit easier. Now that I've gone through training with you all, I am going to send this out so that you guys can kind of play with it a little bit and see what you think and make any recommendations. And then we'll get you a final version of that in January, at which point you can go ahead and start setting it up the way you need it to be, and start typing in information or schedule information into this system. Again, we will send you all of your objective scores and everything in advance, all of your prejudged scores, so that you can put all that into your winners list and into these fields already. We will be changing the rating sheets a bit. They no longer include a prejudged or objective score actually written on the rating sheet. The only events that actually need a tie broken by the judges are events like impromptu speaking and public speaking. Everything else is actually broken by objective scores and prejudged scores. So in order to avoid those scores not getting factored in, we just took them off the rating sheets. And we did that for state, and we didn't have any issues with it. It helped tremendously in the grading room and expedited that process. We got done quicker than we have as long as I've been hanging around on the staff side of things. So we were really happy about that, and we've bumped that down to districts to make it easier on you all. So those scores will already be in once we send them to you. So you can just break the ties by hand that might occur based on those prejudged or objective scores. There are new admin guidelines that explain that. There's an entire tie-breaking sheet for that. It's even on the judges' instructions. It tells them exactly what to do if there's a tie in these events. So we shouldn't have any issue with it, but it will be a bit of a change, and I'll write up something for you so that you can send that out to your advisors who might be serving as administrators, and then you can send that out to your judges as well to let them know in advance of that change, especially if they're longstanding judges that you might have. That is it for everything that I have. So if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to send them to me in an email or give me a call. I am out for DECA starting around like 8:30 tomorrow for CRLC in Kansas City, and I won't be back until Sunday. I will have access to my email. As you all know, if you email Chris at Missouri FBLA, it goes to my phone. So if you have a pressing question, I can answer it, or you can reach me on my cell phone. For the most part, I'm available via my cell and email the entire conference. There will be some times that I might be in a room that I won't be able to assist you, but you can always leave a message and I'll get back to you, or just shoot me an email and I can answer it in the evenings. But if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a text or email or phone call, and I'll help you out. But otherwise, I appreciate you taking some time out of a Wednesday to go through the registration process and be prepared for yet another competitive event season. So I will be stopping this broadcast here in just a moment. You can watch them via YouTube. They're saved to my Google Plus, and I'll send out those links to you all first thing in the morning. So if you want to review something, you can. But otherwise, you all are free to go. And again, I appreciate you taking time out of a Wednesday and look forward to district leadership conferences. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you all.